per se. Yeah, I'm not really looking to do the short yet, Arvin. I don't know. I don't know if that's the inspired play yet. It could be, these every year, the first day of the year is always like a little bit of a doohickey. So let's see kind of what's up. Morning, folks. What up? The market kind of ruined some of our fun today by this stupid motherfucking gap. Dude, that, gapping up into this kind of previous day's range is like, that's the worst open. We are pulling back a little bit, so that's good. We'll have to see what's up today. What I mean by we have to see what's up today is, every single year has a slightly different, every year has a slightly different flavor to it. Some years big tech is hot. Some years this thing is hot. Some years, something else is hot. Some years you have solar, and then they even split up by quarters sometimes, right? And so, we've had different themes that have happened in the market, right? The recent theme has been more in, right, like these, fake AI companies and quantum companies and stuff, right? Like Sound and RGTI. And that was the story really of the last quarter, right? And so like these themes start to shift, every quarter, every year too. And so the first of the year will kind of give us a little bit of a tell on what's hot for the year. For example, like a lot of these large cap names were up, a significant amount in January from January. So, you get something like Amazon, it's up, I don't even know, 100%, 80%, so on and so forth, right? Tesla's up. In January it's $200, right? So you have all this kind of stuff happening. And so every year will be a little bit of a different flavor. These large caps ran pretty big in 2024. So is there a shift from maybe those stocks to other stocks? Is there a shift from these quantum stocks right into something else? They were getting dusted on Friday, or not Friday, Tuesday. Now what's going on, right? So that'll be something to just kind of keep in mind of. It's not the end all. The first handful of days of the year, we look for clues. We look for signs to see, where is the money flowing? Does the IWM ever get picked up? Maybe it just sits in range forever, right? But kind of 2022, 2023, it sat in range. And, in 2024, it actually did trend for, but it was just like, it was a grindy trend, right? So it never felt like it because it was like kind of a little bit more haphazard, right? It was just a little bit slower. So where is that kind of shift going? That'll be, something we want to be careful of. It's very rare that you see like whatever was the best stock of the previous year often be the exact best stock of the next year, right? So always kind of keep that in the back of your head. If, for example, XYZ stock that you really like is up 1,000% that year, the odds of it going up another 1,000% the next year is very, very, very small. Stocks, even really, really hot stocks, can often spend a good chunk of a year to even longer after big, big runs, just in consolidations. It's not always like, say you have a stock that went up a lot. It's not always that they're sitting there in trending period. Most of those gains are concentrated in like a couple months, and then they go sideways for periods of month, and then they go up, and then they go sideways for periods of month. And you'll see that, right? Even with NVIDIA, how many huge multi-month consolidations did we have, right? And now you can see the consolidation is much sloppier, right? Like this is, I don't even know if this is this is not really even a consolidation in your classical trading sense where you would be trying to break it out. So we have these kind of names that are sitting here, right? In kind of longer consolidations now that had the big runs in the last couple years. I mean, if you see Microsoft, it's at the same price it was, right? For many, many months. And so, there has to be some shifts in your thinking and what you do. And so that's where today, and hopefully the next day and the next day, start to get some clues, what's going to be hot. Is it crypto stocks? Is it solar stocks? Is it, whatever it might be, you never really know. So the market's got a nice little gap on it. Does it hold? Does it not? We don't really know. And the reason is that we're just in a little bit of a chop zone now. We're just in a little bit of a chop zone now where you got kind of a declining 9 EMA, but you're above the 50 EMA. So you're in a little bit of a, right, what we call a sandwich, a little moving average sandwich. And so when you are inside the moving average sandwich, you can have, you'll often have one up day, one down day, couple big up days, couple big down days, right? Because you just stuck more inside the range. And so you start getting into this kind of range trading. Hold on here. You start to get into this kind of range trading till that starts to resolve and you start to get into a little bit of a trending environment. So just kind of be mindful that, we're not in this phase, right? We're in a little bit of a different phase. So we just got to take a slightly different look to, how we trade. This Unity, let's go through the earnings plays, gappers. There's not many today. This Unity, this is popping up on some roaring kitty tweet. Hey, you never know. For the day, that can be a lot of fun. You should never shy away from movement just because it's like, you're like, oh my gosh, it's because of a tweet or it's because of that. Like, who gives a fucks, right? So Bryce, if something goes up 50% and it's just trending, like, does it really matter what the news was? I mean, that's right. You got to close your legs sometimes and, just make money. So this is, hey, not ideal, but I like the look of it, man. This stock is like sitting here right in a basing for a long time. Now, it could just kerplunk and go red. I mean, he's done this, tweet thing a million times, but you never know. Like, if a trend starts to catch, then you catch it. Good. Junk. RGTI up 6%. My guess is we fade the gap on this today based on Friday's action. That would be my guess. Like, if this thing can get up into some levels of supply, you got a little bit more congestion over here. I think you try to take it down. This is probably my thinking was these things would roll over today, but the market didn't listen to me and it started it started 2 days before. So you want to always be mindful of this, but this is probably, I'm more interested in fading this piggy. If it gets into like closer to 17, I think we take it down. Goldman Sachs upgrades Cloudflare to buy from sell. Whoa. This may actually turn into something. You got a little bit of a base breakout here. When you talk about upgrades, the best upgrades, guys, are the ones that come from the major banks. So if you have an upgrade, but it's from Roth, sometimes in a hot market, it may just do something anyways because the market's hot. But usually if you get one from Goldman, you get one from Morgan, right? You get one from Merrill, you get one from whoever, Citigroup. Those are usually the upgrades that are worth something, just in like a normal market where people don't buy everything. So let's add this bad boy too. And when you see something like this, like net, you don't want to ever buy anything right off at the open, right? Let it pull back at the open. See if it starts to settle somewhere, right? If it starts to settle into the EMAs or something along that end, that'll be a good spot. That'll be a good spot to see if this thing's got any legs here. And, watch the action closely because, we want to make sure that tech doesn't get sold off today. Yeah, you can see some of these quantum stocks are all gapping up. My guess is we roll these piggies over today. If they get jammed up higher. Now I've been wrong on this like a couple times, so just be mindful. I'm old and I'm fat and I'm cantankerous. Well, not fat, but cantankerous, and I think everything is a scam. So I'm just at that age where anything that's new and cool and goes up a lot, I think is a scam. So in my head, this has been a scam forever, right? But the Friday did have kind of a that big first big crack, under the EMAs and stuff like that that we've needed to see. So I think personally, like if we can get this thing dusted to, I don't know, let's say 21, 25, somewhere into where this ORB range was. I think that's probably a buenos. RGTI already kind of ran into resistance, but this should fade off too. I should have took a couple thousand for a starter. Fuck. You can see this. Yeah, my gut feeling is these roll over. This one maybe has already dropped the easy money, but let's keep an eye on this sound. Even while we're talking, we may have to fucking take this thing short if it starts to clear down these levels. All right, the rest of this is all garbage. So let's take a look here. Tesla just had some delivery numbers out, and did so now you've broken under the 20-day moving average. I mean, you've got a date with the 50 at this point. This is probably something. There's one spot here that I think could be juicy. But once again, bounce trading is super hard. A lot of times what people do is when the stock starts to bounce and the EMA start to turn down, they get really aggressive trying to buy it, right? But when it was easy and you're just breaking out and you're like over the MAs, the aggression is not even there. That you just sit there with your hands down your pants, right? And you're like, oh, look at that, it's up too high, and you miss like the really easy trading, and then it starts to pull back, and now all of a sudden you're like trying to get a piece of this. Most likely, even if Tesla starts to bounce here, there, wherever, this is going to enter a period of consolidation that could take months and months, to reside. Like, it's very rare if you see even from here to here, right? And here to here and here to here. These stocks, they just range for months and months. It's only like a stock's gains will mostly come in 1 or 2 months, and the rest of the year it just sits around. And so if you miss that 1 or 2 months of hotness and now you're trying to catch the hotness, you're going to be stuck with a lot of disappointment. And that's what happens with a lot of these names, right? Is like you get this kind of couple months of juice and everybody starts talking about it, and then by the time you're interested in it, it's like, fuck, it's just sitting around doing nothing. And you're starting to see a lot of, right, those kind of hot stocks, right, do that where they're just pulling back. So Tesla's in a little bit of no man's land unless this dip gets bought today and it reverses and say remounts 400. Then it may just be in one of these things where it bounces and it rips really, really hard, and then it fades off, and it bounces and it rips really hard and it fades off, and you may just be in that flavor for now. I'm not sure, but we're already kind of in multiple weeks of pullback here. It'd be nice to get it down into kind of 360. I think that would give it just a nice oversold bounce. And I do think it's probably due for a bounce soon. The stochastics on this are 5. It's been down 5 days in a row. But the easy money on it was, right, as you're trending up to 9 EMA. Because that's when it's predictable and you kind of know what it's doing. Now it's just going to be up one day, down one day, and you don't really have a clue. So you will play this on the watch. Well, let's put this on the watch list. I mean, we may have to even, if it fades off, say it pops at the open and fades off, say 400, we may have to fade this piggy today. And it's a pig. It's an oinker, and there's no getting around that one. Chris, I'm not sure MSTR is a short per se. I mean, it's been going down 10 days in a row. I don't think it's necessarily anything. I think MSTR is one of those things too, where it's like you had the epic run, and now you also had the epic fall, and now you're kind of in between. Coin very similar, right? You had the nice run where it doubled and more than doubled, but then now you're kind of just back into the middle of the range. So, and a lot of stocks are showing this, guy. So what needs to happen is, right, we need this next handful of days to longer to show us, right, what's the new market leader, like what's the new Tesla, what's the new Nvidia, right? Is it AVGO? You can see AVGO's hanging out pretty good over here, right? And you got one test, two tests, three tests. Maybe this breaks out and starts something new, right? And so that's where we'll kind of keep an eye on some of these bad boys. Tesla misses pretty much every time. That's just the nature of the game. It always misses. So we'll see. Out of all the large caps, I would say this one looks the best. Amazon is still on some support here, and it's kind of marinating. Meta sitting here at the 50-day moving average. So is Microsoft. So you can add a couple of these. And I think Google is still holding up here pretty good. So I think we have a couple of these that we can mess around with. My preference today, I think, is let's watch this AVGO. Let's see if some of these hold on to supports like Google. And you got to do the calls on them, but it's Thursday. The calls are cheap, right? We got a couple of these bad boys that we hold on to, and then on the downside, I want to take down. If these get to pop into the locations I want, now I want to take these two. I want to take these two downtown Julie Brown. Dude, everything else right now is in no man's land. And the reason is when the market is above its 9 EMA at breakout, every stock looks great. And your watch list will be 100 names. As soon as the market goes down like 3-4 days, they all overreact, right? And so they're down a whole shitload. So you won't see that many good setups right now, and you're really not supposed to. If the market catches a bid, what I want to do is I want to nail these ones that are sitting here right on the 50-day moving average, right? You got TSM really just sitting here at an easy location, right at the 50-day moving average. You got Meta here just hugging this 50, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, just right hugging it. I think that's probably got a spot on it too. Good. And then, I'll add in this Google for a little flavor too. This is more of a quantum play at this point. So you kind of would need the rest of the sector to go. So I want to short those pigs. And then I want to look for the first pullback. I want to look for the first pullback in some of these that are just resting on support. AVGO, I tend to trade the best, but I ain't gonna hate. That's the list. I'm sticking to it. Xiamen, let me see which solars. You're just gonna have to watch and see when they start to trend a little bit. They don't seem to ever hold their bids for more than a day or two. Could be the year. It is an interesting thing, is obviously people use solar more and more every year, but the damn stocks go down more and more every year. Go figure. Let me see. What are you guys watching here? QBTS? Yeah, you can roll with it. You can roll with it. Guys, there are some, small bombers that are going today too that you can mess around with. But I would just be a little bit careful on them today because you just don't know. Let's just change this to 3, for example. So you can see here, you got small bombers all over the place, right? Xpone. MLGO, Hollow. Now my worry is that this big crash on them on Thursday. All of them pulled back hard on Thursday. Is that does that lead to more selling, or is that just a one-off event? We don't really know. Lays kind of moves with these quantum names too. Yeah. Good. We'll keep the watch list simple. And then what I want you to do is just, run your scans in the middle of the day, right? Run your scans in the middle of the day. Run your 4% breakout scans, and start to see, start to check around, like see, what else will be popping. I'd run it probably after the first 30 minutes just to see if there's any themes happening. Like, is there anything running that, was not on the watch list that we need to be aware of? Otherwise your watch list should be pretty short right now because you don't really know if the market's going to hold or not. And not many stocks look hot because the market's sitting at the 50-day moving average. But that's the list. I'm sticking to it. Anybody got any questions? Hell yeah.